An economic nuclear winter, that is the grim warning, as one of the worst stock exchange bloodbaths in history continues to hit global markets. Australia not immune, with billions of investor dollars wiped amid fears the world is heading straight for recession.
These escalating trade tensions are casting a dark shadow over the global economy.
The superannuation accounts of Australians are falling by the hour.
It is the job situation that Australia's got to worry about.
It just shows you the raw power of Donald Trump.
Within the first few minutes of trade this morning, more than $160 billion wiped off the Aussie share market. Before regaining some ground, the ASX 200 tumbling more than 6%.
Just in terms of its economic shock, it's very, very large. Bigger than COVID, bigger than 2008.
Rattled investors fleeing in a broad and brutal market sell-off, with heavy losses in mining, banking and energy stocks.
That impacts Australians because superannuation funds have their shares.
The chaos coming in the wake of Trump's tariff rampage, recession panic gripping Wall Street.
We take seriously the warnings of the risk of a global recession.
After China dropped its 34% retaliatory tariff bombshell, triggering fears of a full-blown trade war. The Aussie dollar today plunging below 60 US cents for the first time since the COVID pandemic.
That is largely a reflection of people's concerns about the Chinese economy, but it also reflects the fact that markets are now expecting 4 interest rate cuts in Australia this calendar year.
Despite the tariff turmoil, the US president is vowing to stick to his swing.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
Amid suspicions he's doing the whole thing on purpose after Trump himself reshared this video on Friday.
Trump is crashing the stock market, but he's doing it on purpose. It's a genius play.
He's not trying to take the market. It's a strategy to create a golden age in America for the American worker.
So amid black recession rain clouds, how well can Australia navigate the global market meltdown?
Our Treasury is not expecting the Australian economy to go backwards.
Trump has his hand on the stove, and all we have to do is wait to see how long he keeps it there.
Well, Evan Lucas is our go-to market guru. Evan, what the heck just happened?
Look, I think we just had something that will go down in history books for the 4th time it's happened in the US in history. And to put that into context, what happened on Thursday and Friday, which was over a 10% move in 48 hours in the US, has only happened in October '87, in November '08 and March 2020. And those 3 events, if you can remember what they were Black Monday, the start of the GFC and the start of COVID. So clearly it is something. It's a very, very big reaction to the changes that has now happened in global markets, that's happened in global trade and also in global economics, and how we actually get our head around dealing with this going into the future.
And how does this compare to the other big drops we've seen in the past?
It's about the same, Sarah. So, again, I think we need to compare ourselves to that first couple of weeks in March in 2020. It was the uncertainty. This time it's geopolitical rather than being a health crisis. The overall sort of impact that it's going to have on movement of trade, and that was the same in the health crisis with COVID as well, movement of goods. That's the similar comparison. From there, it completely diverges. I mean, we could see a president that could completely backflips, could get harder, could get weaker, could do everything in between. But history shows that events like this happen over and over and over again. Yes, this is a geopolitical one. Yes, it's going to upheave particularly exporting nations. Will it get through it? Time will tell you that it will. Despite him trying to tell you that he's going to get a 3rd term, there will be change. The catch is right now it will feel like it can't end and that it will only get worse before it gets better. That's probably true, but I know time will actually fix it.
The government here, meanwhile, acknowledges an increased risk, but nonetheless says they're not expecting a recession here in Australia. Do you think that's right?
I'm not as confident on that, Waleed. I mean, admittedly, we've got an RBA that has a lot of ammunition in his back pocket to cut rates, to therefore allow the consumer to feel that they've got a bit more freedom. But it's the indirect effects from the tariffs. We've got to look at the impact on China, but not just China, our other major export nations, things like Japan, things like South Korea, players like India. They are what make me a little bit more nervous, is that we import a lot of their products. Now, it might actually get cheaper for us, and that actually may stave off recession. But if the consumer gets really worried about the whole global scenario and stops consuming, then a recession is certainly a possibility.
Evan, let's walk back from the global situation and talk about individuals in Australia. We've all got superannuation. They will have taken, the superannuation funds would have taken a hit today. Blindfold on or blindfold off? Do you look?
You look, Steve. I think you need to look. And the reason you need to look is you need to understand your positioning. Because again, let's take the retiree that may be retiring today. They will be obviously under a real amount of pressure and feeling that pressure. But if you think about the average Australian retiring today at 65, let's say that's when they're doing it, the average female will live to about 84 to 87. The average male is about 82 to 85. So you're talking about, 20 to 18 to even as much as 25 years from today. Your money needs to extend out through that period. So you look today and go, OK, I can sort of move down the assets, go to things like cash, go to bonds, but you still have to have equities because they are going to extend your overall retirement savings into the future.
Worst thing about that is I've just realised I've only got 12 years to live.
Oh, no, Price. So you're going to live forever.
Oh. Very sad. Sorry, no money either.
You better spend it all now, Steve.
Well, on that sad note, Evan Lucas, appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.
Let's hope I last a bit longer than that. European markets opened about half an hour ago, dropped by 10 points. So it's getting worse as we go around the globe. This has dropped like a bomb in the middle of the election campaign, and it's now going to frame every discussion that both sides have to have. Because, if they're spending money, the whole election campaign is now going to be framed around, from a Labor point of view, 4 rate cuts this year, which is a positive for the government.
And potentially a flagging economy that leads to that.
And I just feel for people who've just retired or are about to retire and they just see their income on their superannuation just dropping like a rock.
And they might have to, work, just keep working?
2 more years, 3 more years, yep. Including me.
No, thanks.